All right, another episode. Today I'm going to talk about something a little bit controversial. It's not actually that controversial, but I want to talk about poaching in our wonderful powerlifting coaching world. Poaching clients, but not maybe not from the angle that you think I'm coming at it from. Um, I guess the most important part to start this chat off is recognizing that coaching is a business. It is transactional. A client is paying for an outcome, a service dedicated to providing that outcome, and it's a free market. They can go to wherever they want. You, as a coach, your job is to provide that client with the service or the outcome that they are paying for. And if you're unable to do so, it is up to them to move on and go to another coach or go to another service or change sport or whatever it may be. Switch to BJJ. So it's important to wrap your head around that because the personal exchange, the friendship and the relationship aspects of coaching often get in the way of this transactional nature, which makes it harder for clients to make an informed decision about what is best for them in that moment, and also can interfere with the dismissal of a particular service. So if like client quits, it often gets in the way that, the coach can feel quite slighted. But as part of all this, there is an interpersonal and relational component of coaching. There's also this aspect of poaching, and the poaching that I'm talking about is mostly unintentional. So I want to provide two perspectives, or really three. One from the perspective of the coach, then one from the perspective of the client. And the two perspectives for the coach is really the coach that is potentially poaching, and the coach that has a lifter poached from them. Now, as a coach, we often get into this idea, or we often get into coaching because we want to help people. That's where most people are coming from. They get something out of what they're doing. They get something out of personal training or going to the gym or powerlifting. They learn a little bit about it. They want to evangelize others. They want to show the world how much this thing impacted their lives, and they want other people to share in that. Or they have an array of knowledge and expertise that they feel is valuable to share with the rest of the world, and such a coach is born, and thus a coach is born. When you have that mindset and that attitude, which a lot of coaches have underpinning their coaching, I want to help. I mean, I'm no different as a coach. I just want to help more people. That's what ZeroW is all about. The growth of this business is not about satisfying some personal business empire that I'm trying to achieve. The growth of this is because I want to help more people, and now I get to help people in a variety of different ways. Most coaches want to help, and it genuinely takes a dedicated effort on you as a coach, on your behalf, to have conversations where you're trying to help someone out without unintentionally poaching them away from their coach, from their current coach. And that's really important to take that mindset when you're having these conversations. I've been mindful of this for longer than I can remember. I don't remember a time where I wasn't mindful of it because I've always been quite a shy, self-conscious sort of person. And I've always been scared that I'm upsetting someone all the time. So I've always approached these conversations with an air of caution. A lot of people don't, though. A lot of people are just like, hey, I can help you with that. Here's some advice to help you, and don't realize the potential impact that can have on a coach-client relationship, especially if that person knows that the client they're helping already has a coach. So it takes a certain level of skill to approach these conversations. And I'm talking just as simple as, starting the conversation with, well, do you have a coach that you're working with? Oh, cool. So you have a coach. That's fantastic. This is a great thing for you to be able to have these conversations about with your coach. And these are the kind of questions that you might consider asking. I can sort of help you out in this way right now. You can try that. And if you feel like it helps, take it back to your coach, have a discussion with them, and then you guys can plan out together. Like, it takes a concerted effort to speak with that language, because the inclination would be to take the short and easy route, which is just, hey, do this and this lift will feel better. Do what you will. Congratulations, I've helped you. Of course, there is a category of people that are more malicious and are genuinely trying to poach people, but we'll sort of talk about that in a moment. So you have to approach conversations where you're helping other lifters who have coaches, or you don't know have coaches, like someone might have a coach and you don't know about it. It takes a dedicated educated effort to use the right language to approach those situations without unintentionally poaching. And by the way, all this stuff that I'm saying, this is up to you. You don't have to take any of this advice. You don't have to listen to any of it. But this is my personal view on the situation, having been in this game for a long time, being a leader in this game now, and mentoring a lot of coaches and hearing the problems and the struggles that they have, as well as working with lifters that have been through this, and as well as having plenty of clients poached from myself, especially in the early days. So it requires you to know your place as a coach, but also to respect the coach on their journey. The analogy I draw to this would be like when you send a client to a therapist of some sort. So you send your client to a physiotherapist because they've been injured, and the advice that the physiotherapist gives is kind of contrary to what you believe. The last thing you want to do is destroy a client's trust and get them away from the primary purpose of that endeavor, which is getting them better and helping them, creating an outcome for them, supporting them in their lifting, and creating some sort of negative spin on it. Oh, that physio doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. What? You hurt your back and they're telling you not to deadlift. Of course you could deadlift. The physio is going to give the best advice with the knowledge and the information that they have. And it's the same with any coach. I genuinely believe that every single coach is doing the absolute best job they can with the knowledge and the information that they have. They might be lacking the level of knowledge, information, and skill that you have. And with that, their advice might not be in line with what you believe, or they might, subscribe to a different coaching philosophy of some sort. You don't have to agree with them, but you need to respect where they are in their coaching journey because you've been there or you're going there. You have to understand that we're all on the same path, and it's okay for someone to have less skill than you, and you need to respect and understand that and let them hone their skill. Their client is not getting a disservice because the coach that they're working with is less skilled than you, in your opinion. That's up to them to decide whether they need a different service, not up to you. So you have to be mindful of the language that you use and be very careful not to talk down and talk negative about another coach just trying to do their thing. Now, I'm not talking about other interpersonal gossip and rumors and whatever. Humans are dramatic. We accept that. I'm talking just about the raw sort of coaching stuff. Now, if you're on the receiving end of this, so you're a coach and somebody else has given your client advice that's potentially contrary to what you believe, for a start, this is a lesson. So if you're a coach and this happens to you, the worst thing that you can do is get upset about it to your client. What are you listening to them for? They don't know what they're talking about. Would you just trust the process? That kind of attitude. It's literally your job to be able to explain your way out of those situations. Oh, well, they've suggested this, which means they're probably thinking along these lines. Here's why we're doing this, and here's why we've been doing it, and here's where we're going with this. If they raise a valid point, then you might look at it from a different angle. Oh, I see where they're coming from with that, and it's not terrible. We might implement it. For now, let's just close out this block doing this. And if you're really interested in trying something different, let's catch up, let's do a session, let's jump on a call, whatever it is, and we can sort of workshop some ideas so that you feel that you're getting the best out of the service. There's ways of approaching and navigating these situations, and the absolute worst thing you can do is come at it with anger or resentment or hatred. You want to spin it as positively as possible, because remember, this coaching relationship is not about your ego. It's about a client experience and a client outcome. So if you just get all angry and upset, it's a real projection of your potential insecurity, your potential ego. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. It is annoying when somebody tells your client. I still get it to this day where people will tell my clients, oh, you should try this. And it's like, just respect the coach on the other end. You don't have to. And then it creates a bit of like extra work because I have to sit there explaining. But that's my job. I have to be able to explain these things to my lifters so we can collaborate and continue to work towards getting better together. That's the whole point of a coach-client relationship, right? So if you get caught in one of these situations where somebody is talking to your clients, it's up to you to really protect your coaching, to protect what you're trying to achieve. And that requires you to be able to very clearly explain what you're doing and very clearly explain why the alternative hasn't been the option for you. Remember, you have the grand plan. That's why the client is paying for you in the first place. So you want to lean on that, and you need to sharpen your sword. And if you don't know, reach out to someone who might know. If you're genuinely stumped or caught out or come across something that you've been lazy on, admit your fault and then move on with it. I really didn't think of it like that. This is something that we can work with. If that felt really good, let's go with that. That's totally fine. And, build it around the relationship that you already have with that person. There's ways to do that, and you should be doing that. Remember as well that your reputation precedes you. So if you come, let's say the worst happens where somebody reaches out to your client, they give them advice, and the client decides that they're going to leave you and move on and go to this coach. If you leave that relationship, if you really leave that relationship poorly, like, oh, fine, just leave, fuck you, whatever, uh, that reflects really poorly on you, and that effectively slams the door. Put it this way, one of the things we can talk about in a second is somebody who's actively poaching a client off you is incredibly insecure and probably not very good at their job. So the likelihood of the person staying with them if they've been poached is not that great. I see it happen all the time. And so you want to leave on a really positive note. One of the best pieces of advice I can give for clients leaving you is to be like, look, my job is, as your coach, is to get you the best outcome possible for you. If you believe that the best outcome possible for you is taking this direction and moving on and going to another coach, I 100% support that. I just want you to get the most out of your lifting, and I'm grateful for the time that you've given me as part of that journey to this point. That leaves the door wide open. And you can say it. Be like, look, if anything, if you jump ship and you go with this other coach, I just want you to know, completely water under the bridge. The door is open. The spot is open. If you want to come back on my team, I will welcome you with open arms. Leave the door wide open. Leave a very positive experience for this person. Not only is that good juju, it really solidifies your reputation as a good person and good coach. And there have been plenty of people that have left Zero that recommend people to Zero, even though they're with a competitor. And so that's a really good showing for me. You really want to leave people with a good experience of your brand and your coaching. All right. Now, on the client end of things, like I just said, a coach who is secure in what they're doing isn't actively poaching. So if you've got a coach in your DMs that's like hassling you and clearly trying to poach you and get you to sign up for their coaching, even though they know you've got a coach or even though you're with another coach, chances are they're just not a very good coach, because a very good coach doesn't have to get in people's DMs or sidle up to them in the gym and offer them unsolicited advice all the time to get new clients. They just don't need to do that. A good coach has people coming to them and asking them to coach them. So if you're getting poached, if someone's consistently bugging you that you should switch to them, maybe they've even got some good points. Maybe your current coach is missing the mark on a few things, and this coach that's trying to poach has got some good points. That might even be the case. But if they have to do that, if they have to try and cajole and pull you away from your current coach, chances are they're an insecure coach. Go back in my solo episodes. One of the first ones I did was on like how to spot an insecure coach. Go watch that, because insecure coaches are the worst. And chances are you'll probably end up leaving them, or they'll manipulate you. And insecure coaches are never a good shout, put it that way. So yes, an insecure coach is not going to try and poach you. A confident coach that's secure in their methodology, that doesn't have a scarcity mindset, is going to do what I mentioned earlier. They're going to say, look, here's what I'd suggest, but I would really encourage you to talk to your coach about it. Here are some questions you can ask them. Here are the talking points you want to go back and forth on. Here are some stuff you can research for yourself to get more awareness of and ask your coach. That's what a secure coach is going to approach you like when they're providing advice. Like I said, if a coach is insecure, they're probably really terrible at what they're doing. And so even if they solve this one little problem for you, the chances are they probably can't solve the majority of problems. They probably have an insecure method of coaching in general. They probably have a high turnover of clients. So keep an eye on that. You can just go through their social media and see how often people are coming in and out. Normally it stands out like a sore thumb. Now, there is a responsibility here on you, right? So if you are paying a coach, and again, take or leave this. You don't have to do this. This is just my suggestions. If you're paying a coach for a result and for coaching, trust them. Open the dialogue. Have communication. Most coaching relationships fall apart because of a lack of communication on both sides. That creates resentment building up. It's very much like any relationship, any friendship or relationship is often comes down to communication being poor when things go sour. So if there are questions on your mind about what you're doing and why you're doing it, raise the question. If you want to try something new, raise the question. And your coach might come back and be open about it and willing to try different things. Your coach might say, look, I'm not very good at that, or I don't believe in that methodology, but here's a coach who does. You don't know what kind of response you're going to get, but I can guarantee you it's probably not going to be that bad. And if it is bad, it's probably not the best coach for you anyway. All good coaches should be open to communication, should be gentle at explaining the reasoning behind what they're doing. And if they're not, they just might not know what they're doing in that aspect very well. With that said, give them a chance. Give them a chance to research, to learn, to reach out to other people to find the answers to your questions. And someone who is secure and is good at what they do, if you ask a question that they don't know, they'll say, look, I'm not sure about that, but I'll reach out to someone and I'll find out the answer. Communication is ultimately the key to all of these things. You have to be good as a client as well at whether or not you take on that advice. So people are going to get in your face and tell you to try different things. Trust me, if you're changing things up all the time, you're just going to go nowhere fast. Consistency is key in so many aspects, but with training and technique and programming, consistency is very key. Just trying. Here's the other thing: is that normally when you take advice on how to lift and you try it on a weight that doesn't matter. So if someone's like, "Oh, look, I want you to try this cue when you're doing a sumo deadlift, and your deadlift max is like 300, and you try it with 100, of course it's going to feel good. It's 100 kilos. 100 you can make 100 feel good doing pretty much anything. And so, like, if you try something, it doesn't write off what your coach is trying to achieve. And remember that advice on the spot is also quite transient. It's momentary. So, like, a good coach has a predictive eye. A good coach is going to say, look, this is what you're doing now. This is how far it's gotten you. These are the changes we need to make to get you further in the future. And in the interim, those changes are not going to feel good because change often doesn't feel good. And so, like, if you try something on the spot and it feels great immediately, probably not the answer. There's probably a little bit more to it. And if you're working with a coach, your coach probably has a plan about where they're going. So again, it's up to you to communicate, to create that dialogue. I think that's about all I have to say. I've what am I trying to say here? I've been exposed recently to the fact that people are maybe less acutely aware of the kind of language that they're using, as in coaches, are less acutely aware of the kind of language that they're using when they're talking to people in person that can very easily be misinterpreted as poaching, because they're just unaware of, how they're projecting their passion onto others that have coaches. And I actually appreciate that. I appreciate the passion. I appreciate the desire to help others. I think coaches should take it upon themselves to empathize with other coaches, to recognize where they are at in their journey, and to respect what they're doing with their own clients, even if you completely disagree with it. Unless it's dangerous, unless it's manipulative, unless it's hurting someone, don't worry about it. It's none of your business. It's between the coach and the client, and you should encourage clients to talk to their coach and vice versa. Anyway, that's all I'll say on the matter. Hope you enjoyed that. Okay, bye.